Good afternoon, here in beautiful Anchorage, Alaska, here to talk about some gear demo for the day. So just in case you guys might have forgotten how our skis or our boots or our bindings work over the past year, we're gonna give a little refresher course. So we're going to start off by talking about the anatomy of a ski. We're going to chit chat about some boots. We're going to talk about our skis, and we're going to talk about our poles. So as we take a look at these are going to be our tips right up here. They've got a nice curve to pop right over the top of the snow and keep us nice and high up. As we move down the ski, we come to the binding, and this is what secures our toes to the ski. Helps us stay put while we're moving. Cruising along the length of the ski, we get to the end, and these are our tails, just like any furry creature might be running around with. As we roll the ski over, we can take a look. This is going to be our base, this whole thing along the bottom. It's usually black, but sometimes it can be white or an array of colors. This is what helps us glide on the snow and gives our nice sliding motion while we're moving. Another really important part of the ski is the edges, and those are going to be right in here and right on here. And that's going to be really important for helping us catch a nice edge and grip that we can push and power ourselves up and over the snow. All right, so now that we've worked on our anatomy of a ski, let's go ahead and hop into some boots and get going on those. One thing that's really important is I've got some nice warm socks on. These ones happen to be made out of wool, and they go nice and high right over my ankles. That way my whole foot stays warm, and it helps keep some snow out of there too in case I fall in deep snow. And we got a couple different kinds of boots today. So these ones are some lace-ups. And to get these guys on, we can pull them nice and snug. And if we take a look on the side here, we've got this nice clip for our lace. So we can make an X, grab one side and bring it around through that clip. And on the other side, we've got another one, and we can get it clipped right in just like that. Once you've got your clips on, you can go ahead and tie them up just like you would your regular sneakers, keeping them nice and snug. It's really important that they're snug and comfortable to fit. If they're too tight, you're gonna get really cold toes. And if they're too big, you might fall right out of them while you're trying to ski. So really a nice cozy fit is great. Those ones were some lace-up ones. We'll usually use these style with our fish scale skis when we're going on more adventure kind of skis. Another style that we've got are these guys. Now they're a little different. They've got this big cuff on the back. This gives our ankles lots and lots of support, and it's especially useful for when we're skate skiing and trying to go a little quicker. They have a couple differences that the other ones don't have, so we can go ahead and take a look in there. One thing that's different is instead of a traditional lace, they've got a slide. And so to tighten these guys, we can pinch this little button and we can drop it right down until it's snug. It's super fast and super easy. Likewise, to get it off, we can push the button and we can grab it and zip it right up to get back out of the shoe. It's important that we always want to untie our boots all the way every time. Once I've got the cinch down, I can tuck my laces in and I can zip it up. And then to make sure the cuff is on nice and tight, we can grab our Velcro strap, bring it right through this loop on the side, and I can pull the Velcro snug right around my ankle, just like that. And now we're ready to hit the trails. Another really common boot that we have, especially in a lot of the communities we work in, are these handy dandy red ones. Now this one's a little bit too small for me to put on, so I'm going to show you guys how to do it just with my hands. To do this, it's got a couple differences. It's got some clips on the side that are really important, and it's got this big old button that's really important. To put them on, we still want to make sure our tongue is nice and snug, nice and comfortable with our imaginary foot. For these, sometimes the laces can be really long, so we can throw an X in there just like that, and we can take the corners of our X and put them to the clips. So we can just bite right in there, and we can bite right in on the other side. When we go to tighten it, we can take this button, push down on it, and that'll let us slide in, and we can tighten our boot nice and snug that way against our foot. To take them off, we can push this button again, slide it right back to the end, and we can undo from the clips, 1 clip, 2 clip, and we're good to go for another day of skiing. Just as important as making sure we get our boots on in the right order is getting them off in the right order. So especially these ones that have quite a few extra steps, we're gonna kind of break it down some. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna undo our Velcro, and we can go ahead and pull it all the way out, and that's not a big deal at all. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our zipper. If your boot sticks on the zipper, you can point your toes and stretch out a little bit. Sometimes that helps get rid of the tension. The final step before we can get them all the way off is we wanna remember that we can grab this button and we wanna pinch it down nice and tight, and we can slide it right up that lace, open it up nice and loose, and then we can get our boot off. All right. And sometimes our boots will have tie laces instead of that quick release. But even then, we always want to make sure we're untying our boots all the way before we pull them off of our feet. Great, so now that we've learned about our boots, we're going to jump right into our bindings. Now our bindings are what secures our foot to the ski. On our boots, if we take a look at the bottom side, we've got this handy dandy metal bar. And this is what physically connects our foot right down into the ski. When we go to put them into the bindings, that metal bar is going to line up right here. You can see there's a groove. It's pretty groovy right in here. That's where the metal bar is going to sit. And when the binding is closed, those teeth are going to grab onto it. There's a lot of different binding styles out there. We're going to try and touch on as many as we can, and hopefully they address all of the different gear types that might be in your community. We're going to start with the Start Junior bindings. These ones are usually the simplest. These you can actually step right into when the binding is still closed. So you can see there's those teeth again. We're actually closed right now, and we can still get into the binding, just like that. When we want to get out of the binding and we're done skiing, we can pinch right here up at the front, and we can lift it up, and that's going to release those teeth, and we can release our foot right out again. The next style we've got, and these ones are a little bit fancier. These are kind of a newer style. These ones are still going to be step-in, so we can still go right in. These are our junior turnamic bindings. Most of these step-in styles are going to be red in your communities, and they'll usually be on shorter skis. When we get in, we can get our toe piece right up on our tippy toes, ready to rock. Once we're in and we're all done skiing for the day, to get back out, we're going to pinch this, and we're actually going to twist it, and that's going to release the boot from the binding. Another style that is out there, a little bit older style, are push button ones. So right here, this is our release. Just like on those other ones, this one is also a step-in style when you have this button. Just like before, we're going to get our bar right up to the toe, and we can tiptoe and get right into that binding. When we're all done for the day and we're ready to get out of them, we can use our ski pole or our fingers to push down on that button, and that's going to release the boot, allowing us to cut out of our skis. Moving on in different skis and sizes, another really common one is this sort of latch style. Now sometimes the latches will open at the tip end, and sometimes they'll open near the tail end. So this one's going to open at the tips, and you can see it's right up at the front. We have another one. It's going to open more on the back end, so we can see the difference there. That guy opened up here where the hinge is, and this one opened at the front where the hinge is. These styles are not step-in, so that means you're going to need to open the binding before you can put your foot in. So again, just to show that, we can grab up a hold of the latch, and we're going to lift it straight up, and that's going to open the binding, so there's no teeth there. Just like before, we'll tiptoe in, and we can put the latch down, and we're locked in and ready to start skiing. And that'll be the same whether that's one that opens near the front of the binding or at the base of the back. The final style we have that we kind of touched on a little bit earlier is we have an adult style turnamic binding. And in this case, these ones tend to be white and black, and these you'll have to twist open before you can step into it. And so we're open here again in that groovy groove, and then when we want to start skiing, we can twist it, and we can hear it quick when we know we're locked in and ready. Something to be aware of is there is two types of boots on the market, and these are S&S style and N style. Skiku almost exclusively uses N gear, and it's called the new Nordic norm because it's what normally is out on the trails the most. The difference comes in the base of the boot and the binding. If we take a look at this binding, this is an S&S style, and this is going to work with our S&S boot. This rail is going to sit right in the middle of this boot, just like that. Whereas on an N binding, we're going to have these two rails. I won't be able to put my S&S boot in my N binding, and that's something to be aware of, that they can only work for one or the other. But again, Skiku almost exclusively uses N gear. It's just something that we always want to be aware of. All right, well, now that we've learned how to get our boots on, we've learned about how our bindings work, and we can get ready to rock and roll, we want to talk about two different styles of cross-country skiing. One style is called skate skiing, and it kind of looks a lot like ice skating, but on skis. It tends to be faster and is usually easier on flat, groomed terrain, kind of like snow machine trails or maybe even roads around your community if they're snowy and not gravelly. The other style is called classic skiing, and classic skiing is great for deep snow and going on awesome adventures. The differences will mostly be in the bases. So starting with a classic ski, we can flip it over and take a look. The Skiku classic skis will always have fish scales, and we can check it out. We can see them right there. Right in the middle are all these scales. These scales, if you've ever pet a dog or caught a salmon before, you know that if you push them one way, they'll slide, but if you move them the other way, they'll kind of grab onto you. With our classic skis, our fish scales can grab the snow, and when we grab it, we're able to pick it up and slide it forward. Just like if we're petting a dog smooth one way, and then we grab them and go the other way. With our skate skis, they're a little different. They don't have any scales, and they're totally smooth across the whole base of the ski. We don't really need to worry about getting the middle of the ski to grab the snow the same way, because most of our power is going to come from pushing with our edges. And those are right here if we remember from our anatomy class. So we got a skate, and we got a classic. Two different kinds of skis, two different ways to have an awesome time in the snow. One thing that's really important is taking good care of our skis. Now these bottoms can tend to be kind of fragile sometimes. We can take care of our skis by only ever using them on snow. That means no gravel, trying to avoid ice, and trying to avoid wooden or metal walkways and railings. Another really important thing is that skis are for skiing and not for sword fighting or for dog toys. Take care of your skis by putting them somewhere safe and keeping them out of harm's way and not letting your dog chow down on them too much. The final piece of our puzzle before we head out and ski is going to be our poles. Now poles help us get some propulsion, some momentum, and they give us something we can grab onto to push. They're really helpful for going up a big old hill. For sizing, anywhere between our armpits and our nose is right about right. When I go skate skiing, I like a taller pole, closer to my nose. But when I go classic skiing, I like something a little shorter, kind of right around my armpit. But really, both are probably going to work pretty good. And looking at the anatomy of our pole, we've got a couple parts. We've got our strap, we've got our grip that we grab onto, straps to keep it attached to our body, grip, we have the shaft of the pole, or the pole itself. Down here at the bottom, this plastic, this is going to be our basket, and this is going to be our tip. Usually our tips are very sharp. We want to always be thinking about safety with our tips. We don't want to wing them up like that, and we don't want to poke anyone or our skis. Another difference between baskets can be our basket size. When I go skate skiing, or if I want to go fast, I like a smaller basket, a little bit tighter. When I go on my adventure skis in the woods, and when I go classic skiing, I like a nice big basket. The baskets help us keep our poles afloat in the deep snow. The bigger the basket, the harder it's going to be to push all the way down through all those layers of snow. So if you're in deep snow, you want to think about using a big basket. Another important aspect is making sure we get our poles on the right way with our straps. The most basic style is just a simple loop. To put that on, we can open it up nice and big. We can bring our hand through from the bottom, just like a rabbit or a gopher. We can come right up from the top. We can come in and come down to grab our pole. And we want to pinch our strap between our hands and our grips. And that helps us give an awesome amount of control, and it's nice and snug. The other style of grip is more of a racing style. And these ones can look kind of complicated. They'll oftentimes have a right or a left label, and they won't work if you put them on the wrong hand. To put these on, this is my right-handed pull. I'm going to come in. I can open this up just like before with the loop. I'm going to bring my hands through. In here is a thumb loop. I'm going to bring my thumb right through it. This will be especially when you notice if you have the right side on or not. We can get our strap and we can bring it around to put it on nice and snug. Just like before, we'll want to pinch our strap between our glove and our grip. Just like that. Awesome, well thanks for joining us today on this week's gear episode. Hopefully that gave you a nice refresher on all the equipment and it gets you amped up and ready to rock and roll in the snow. Also always remembering to take good care of our skis, and we can love our skis by crushing miles on the snow. Have a good one.